Morning all. Last night Barnet played the mighty Watford Chess Club, so they were in contention for winning the Herts League Division 1 with Hertford Chess Club. So I don't know, I wasn't that confident about playing them because I had a bit of a up and down season with a bit of bad luck in some games, with draws where I could have won and 3 losses, but there's been a few wins as well to balance them out, and so I was hoping if I could win last night that'd be really good. But I was playing Andrew Stone on board 3, who's slightly higher rated and who's been giving me a bashing recently in our last 2 encounters. He's won both, so what could I do in this game? I thought, well, I'll play first decision to play d4, c4 or e4. I thought actually, why not e4 as white? I was pleasantly surprised to have the white pieces, and I remembered actually in the past, as white against Andrew's French defence, I've done okay. I had 1 draw and 1 win in the Alekhine-Chatard Gambit line, and I kind of knew he plays an early knight c6, but actually I hadn't actually prepared this tool. I had a brief look on the 4NCL website for a few minutes, but that was pretty useless because actually he doesn't play in 4NCL. So apart from that, there was actually no preparation apart from some knowledge of Alekhine games from the ChessGames.com site. If you go to ChessGames.com, you can simulate a player with the white or black pieces, and so that was interesting. But that was a while back. I just seem to remember some of the interesting ideas. And one of them actually was I'm sure in a 15-minute live commentary video, as we'll see. So after d4, d5, knight c3, knight f6, I played bishop g5. So he plays bishop e7, and we're going to go into the Alekhine-Chatard Gambit after knight fd7 h4, which is quite a dangerous system. A lot of opening lines actually that have good statistics on ChessGames.com might not be theoretically great or topical for say 2700 GMs, but in practice I think they do offer a dangerous dynamism which has influenced why those results are good. And for h4 the results are good, the Alekhine-Chatard. He doesn't accept the gambit though, he plays knight c6, and this bishop is liable now to be embarrassed by f6. So I'm not sure actually it is even in this position. I might have checked it and I need to check it again, but knight h3 seemed to fit the position to be able to answer now which f6 by this move, knight f4, and this was the game. So now there's the idea that if takes, I'm going to win as queen. So knight f4 suffers from a slight issue though, which he uses, that actually this threat of winning the queen can be parried perhaps rather strongly with knight d takes e5. So at this point I was thinking, actually was I really actually sure this was okay for white? One thing I knew that after d takes it seems dangerous for fg because of queen h5 check. So say fg, queen h5, say g6, knight g6, and if king d7 maybe, well there's all sorts of things after king d7, but no, all black does as he played was knight takes e5, and I was wondering, yes, yeah, maybe I should have prepared this more. And I was looking at various moves now off my own back actually, like bishop h6 I thought was interesting, but not that interesting, because maybe black just takes that and say check, then there's knight f7, and there's really, I don't know what compensation there is here. White can castle queenside, but c6, and then I don't know, the knight e4, I mean it looks fairly solid for black in this position. So okay, so wasn't sure about bishop h6 here. what else is there to do? Knight h5 I briefly had a look at, and I didn't like the look of the decentralization of the check. Say king move. It looks as though black's okay here as well. You know, maybe queen d2 or queen d4. Well, for the moment it's black's move anyway. I think black's doing fine. So I opted actually for what I thought maybe this is a good continuation, knight d3, but I am going 2 pawns down. After knight takes, bishop takes, f takes g. So at the moment, technically, I know black's got a double pawn here, but black has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Black has all pawns intact, and I've lost 2 pawns. So, but I do have this check. And actually, I was wondering, really, well, king d7 I was expecting, and I wasn't sort of really sure, you know, what the compensation was here. Although casting queenside looks dangerous, but let's say c6. So how would white continue here? Let's say hg, check, still being 2 pawns up, but without the double pawn now. King c7. And it's up to white to prove compensation here, and it could be quite tricky. Now you might think an engine might say -2 to black. Actually it's not -2, it's -0.63, so it's like just over half a pawn actually, even though technically black is 2 pawns up. So there's a resource like f4. So let's see some of the dangers if that was taken. Check is actually winning for white, it seems, or you know, the advantage is, well, sorry, winning bishop. That's fair enough. Okay, so that can't be taken. So bishop f6, bishop takes h7. At least white's not 2 pawns down, but it's not ideal to have to take the h7 pawn to try and equalise. And here black is better by about a pawn now. So yeah, the king coming to e7 would seem that I have done something wrong in this game objectively. And probably if we go back objectively, fault probably lies at knight d3. It seems actually there's better moves than knight d3 here. Knight f takes d5 might be better. So in this position, like this, threatening knight c7 now, bishop d6, bishop e3. But it seems black has at least equalised here, if not a tiny wincy bit better. So there's knight f takes d5, which is probably Alekhine-Chatard games. But yeah. Okay, so this is a faulty continuation, I think. Strangely though, after fg, queen h5 check, he wants to give back some material for some reason, so he plays g6, which does lead to a sort of dangerous looking pin if I'm tempted to play bishop h7 at some point. So bishop g6 check, bishop takes g6, king d7. So I don't feel so bad materialistically that I'm not 2 pawns down, and in fact here after hg temporarily I'm equal on pawns, and as well as restoring that pin, because hg was actually threatened in this position because the queen was actually protecting the rook. So I didn't feel that bad just being a pawn down here, and even better, again, I'm equal on pawns after bishop takes h7, and I've made way for not only queen f7 check, but here the king and queen don't look ideal against, say, knight e4. If take, you know, check. So these guys don't inspire too much confidence at the moment either. So I was very happy with this position now. After c6, I play knight e4. So I'm hitting that g5, that loose piece. Bishop e7, which seems solid enough. But now after castles, queenside, I might have the undermining c4 or even f4, f5, or even maybe queen f7 and knight f6 in the future. So I really liked this position. In fact, I think even an engine would like the position now for white, slightly better. Okay, but he goes a little bit wrong with b6, which he reckons was like on a losing path, b6. Now, actually, I was checking out Kasparov's My Story series, and he talks about the weakness of the last move, but in a really sophisticated way. He said about the weaknesses that are sometimes caused by the opponent's last move. He talks about a particular game where he says the last move changed the dynamics of the position and made a certain square less solid. Now here, it seems the weakness of the last move, this bishop's going to go here or here. This square is going to be actually less solid. And I thought that, yeah, the dynamics are changing here. This square is less solid, so I kind of related more in detail the weakness of the last move, what is going on with the dynamics of the position. And actually, so I want to target e6, and then that will be even exacerbated as the bishop moves to try and do something with this rook. And I want to get out of this horrible self-pin, which reminds me of another Herts League game earlier in the season. So I play actually queen e5, which also introduces the nasty threat now of rook h6, ganging out on the poor e6 pawn. And the bishop's not even going to be working towards protecting that pawn pretty soon. For the moment, the principal threat is rook h6, I thought. I was dreading if he plays the next move. And I was doing some calculation blunders in his time, actually, which were quite amusing. So he spent quite some time here with queen f8, and during that I'd made a calculation blunder that bishop g6 was good, which it wasn't, which attacks h8, but say rook takes, there's no time for rook h8 or whatever, because this is actually, it seems that this is okay. In fact, in this position, I wasn't sure. This knight's kind of hanging. So say rook h7 just maybe takes. I wasn't sure. What have I got? Nothing. So I didn't think actually bishop g6 was great, and then I was excited in his time. This is before queen f8 was played. So I've also found after queen f8, well, maybe I can play bishop f5, simply double attacking e6 and h8. That's really clever. But then actually I thought, hang on, hasn't he just got queen takes f5 here? So what would I do here? This looks terrible as well. Say takes, and say takes. He's got takes, and that's fine. Two bishops for the rook. So there's no way I can play a bishop move against queen f8. And actually, then I started thinking about the temporary piece theory of the previous video. Actually, temporary pieces needing to be used. Temporary high quality pieces. So the temporary high quality pieces are on e4, and I also related this to a previous mess up in the Herts League, actually, where a similar sort of position where the opponent had a sort of Dutch stonewall pawns on light squares and a defensive bishop, and I put the two ideas together, and actually in that game I really regretted not just simply getting rid of the dark square bishop defender, because it would have seemed in analysis of that game I mucked up to a draw that black's position was collapsing after the loss of the dark squared bishop. And here I thought, okay, so we've got a temporary piece property here on e4, temporarily aggressive, with no entry points, all covered by this bishop. So how can we get rid of the bishop? And then it suddenly occurred to me, and by the way, an engine finds this move instantly, virtually, in this position, with some advantage to white, reassuringly, then actually it's a very good position now for white. Actually, I'll leave you as a small exercise here. So if I give you 10 seconds, can you spot the next move then? So a clue, it's not bishop g6 or bishop f5, although those need some tactical investigation, because they seem to be forcing moves because they're attacking this rook on h8. But no, what is a good move for white here? If I give you 10 seconds, or you may want to stop the video starting now. Okay, well again, so statistically there's two perspectives. Statistically, yeah, black's got pawns on the light squares, so potentially there's a lot of dark square weaknesses. So it would be nice to get rid of that. Also, the dynamics of the last move are changed with queen f8 as well. And how can that be used? Well, actually that can be used. This next move ticks all the boxes. Rook d3, which aims, rook f3, kick the queen, using the weakness of the last move as tempo gain, and support knight f6, trying to get rid of the dark square bishop. So all the boxes are ticked with rook d3. Engine checking this. This is an engine approved move, actually. Rook d3, and the advantage gets to be over a pawn, or even more after rook d3. So rook d3 was played. He plays bishop a6, and the dynamics again changing because e6 is less solid now. The weakness of the last move, we'll talk about it in Sparf terms. The dynamics can change rapidly in the chess position. e6 less solid. Rook f3 attacking the queen, and he plays queen b8 now, to my surprise. But also I'm thinking, actually it's a good move, because maybe he's got, in some lines, if I'm not careful, this queen f4 could be useful if the rook and queen weren't on f4, and it's sort of eyeing the centre. So maybe, maybe he's got things under control here. Maybe queen g7, say, and maybe he just takes on e4 here. This is starting to get messy. Maybe check. Maybe there's bishop d3. In fact, it's starting to get messy. So maybe, as I say, but why look for a combinatory solution when it just looks like statistically, a Dutch stone wall, and you want to get rid of the dark square bishop and let the position of the opponent naturally fall to bits without too much risk combination wise. So that's why I was attracted in this position, just to play knight f6 check. But does an engine actually like knight f6, or is anything actually sharper? No, actually an engine does like queen g7. Queen g7, yeah, okay. So let's have a quick look at d takes e4. Check. Now bishop d3, apparently there's actually bishop takes e4. So that's crushing, absolutely crushing. Okay. So there's nothing much else there. So bishop d3, bishop e4. Alright, anyway. I just thought this was, strategically desirable, queen g7. Knight f6 is actually given second place anyway, second prize. Knight f6 check. With the idea of king d8 though, not taking, just giving up e6. I didn't think that was a real move, king d8. So queen g7 is actually the most incisive. And okay, so why is that? The threat set up, maybe it's knight f6 check. If the king moves to the back, then queen h8. And if rook f8, knight f6 check here, just winning because of king d8. And then there's knight g8. What a tricky move, knight g8. So double attacking e7 f8. If rook e8, knight takes, rook takes, check. Now here, if rook e8 takes, check, and the rook's coming in for the kill on the back row. So anyway, yeah, it seems technically, yeah, queen g7. So I'm playing a general move here, knight f6, I know, but the general move I think is quite a powerful general move, knight f6. I'm not playing a specific tailor-made move for the position. Sometimes there's an argument for a general move, I think. So bishop takes actually was played, not king d8, and here the evaluation is huge for white after queen takes f6. When I say huge, well, it's over a pawn. It's over one. Okay. Well, it's getting larger there, as the full horror of the black position is unravelled. So he plays rook f8, which I don't think helps. It's now technically huge now, +4. So I played check, and what does black do? So there were better defensive tries here. Let's follow some of these harder ones then. So c5, whatever that does, vacates c6, check, giving up e6 for queen d6. This is a stiffer resistance. Check. I can win apparently, I think, with g4, and this pawn marches up, because that, I saw that plan earlier actually in some variation, that sometimes this is dangerous to get g6 in. It sort of justifies the bishop on h7. I'm not sure black's doing much against that plan, slow plan, but it's definitely better than game continuation, but still potentially miserable for black. But a lot more effort would be needed to win the game after c5, it seems. Yes, c5. Preparing to give up e6. So anyway, lucky for me, the game concluded more comfortably. After rook f8, I played check. So king d6, and now I don't have to accept a draw by perpetual or anything. I can actually target e6 again, because remember that weakness of the last move was e6. The dynamics from earlier were changed. That this is slightly softer, less solid, as I say, than before. So I just target that with rook e3. I'm actually threatening now queen e5 check and winning e6. So how does he defend now? e6. How? Now, say queen e8. That would be interesting to consider. Queen e8. Before engine checking it, can we find out here? Queen e8. Or there might just be bishop g6 attacking the queen. Because this is always looking dangerous, like check and then rook h7. I think I saw something like this. That bishop g6 will be really strong here. Let's just engine check that just for reassurance, that queen e8 would fall to bishop g6. Bishop g6 is listed as second strongest. Sorry, is actually stronger because of bishop g8. Engine likes these moves with the g8 square, which are totally inhuman, like knight g8 or bishop g8 now. What is this about the g8 square? Bishop g8. It does attack from there very elegantly, actually, the e6 pawn. So yeah, it's like these amazing moves that are found. So if takes, then there's check and probably mating on c7. So you know, say king d8, there's mating on c7. But so actually, but bishop g6 is not bad either, as mentioned, because of the check. And okay, if the king, assuming the king doesn't go there, then rook h7. So black's position, because of the dark square weaknesses, does seem to be collapsing as I'd hoped. After rook e3, it looked even worse because of the fact that you know, queen e8, bishop g6 looked very strong to me. I did see, I believe I saw bishop g6 with the idea after, you know, check rook h7. I thought there's no defense there, so he plays bishop c8. I play check anyway because you know, if the king moves, then bishop g6 and again rook h7. The dark squares are rampant. No, not there actually, because the queen's attacked. Now if king e7, okay, my queen's attacked here. There's no time for bishop g6. So this position, is it so easy? There is queen G5 maybe. Well, it's early in the morning, so I'm just going to check this. King E7, it's Queen G5 check, yeah. And then again there's Bishop G8, which I wouldn't have seen. I didn't see, to be honest. I was expecting King E7 and having to work it out from there. I was really shocked by Andrew's move, actually. But so maybe just if assuming I don't see that, Bishop G6 anyway, with the same idea of this 7th rank infiltration, is easier from a human point of view to find Bishop G6, maybe. Although Bishop G8 is possible because of that congestion on the back row there. But this 7th rank is also, you know, strategically of great value, emphasising rook activity, much better rooks than black's rooks. King can try and make a run for it, but this is now looking very dangerous. With rook e6 maybe on the cards, or no, queen takes f8 there, so that's looking horrendous for black. How does black actually defend the rook? Say here, then actually there's a check, Bishop e8. That's quite incisive, and it gets worse. So anyway, Andrew surprised me with made it a fun finish to this game. So the fun finish, actually, he off Bishop c8 check, he crawled out. Actually, he didn't want this, maybe this rook on the 7th business. So maybe the king's making a runner for the B7 square. Unfortunately, I do have some useful checks here for black. So after King B5, I stopped the king making a run for it over here with check. And after check, here he resigned, actually, because actually I'm mate. And Roy was making funny faces, actually, at this point. So I had to laugh. Yeah, but anyway. So that was the game last night. So I was pleased to try and balance out my wins and losses in this league as well. So it wasn't not so bad. There's only one game to go in this league, so we might come third if we win or draw our next match against Royston away. So looking at this again, so knight c6 is a very interesting move against this Alekhine-Chatard, and so I'm having a theoretical debate now. There's 3 games and they've all been video annotated, so maybe I'll try and put the links to the other 2 games, if I can find them, in the description of this video, so they're all with knight c6. So there's basis of some research for this line, but this does seem a very good line for black in principle. In practice, there seems to be a degree of accuracy needed, and for both sides, because really I shouldn't maybe have gotten away with knight d3 here. So I'm temporarily 2 pawns up, which is not really 2 pawns, but still it's better for black. But now I'm fine, I think, in this continuation. So I think just king d7 immediately, which Cengiz also liked. Cengiz also, he did very well. He beat their board one who's at over about 215 ECF. So Cengiz is having a very good season in Herts League, but he reckoned just king d7 is right. You know, king d7. So there's no need really to give that pawn. Although this pin I didn't really like going into a self pin, but knight e4 gives white some extra bite. This move knight e4. Sorry, in passing, there's also the idea of check here, which I think, well, Andrew pointed out b4 in post-mortem, with the idea of c3 here. Now, this will be, you know, better for white, the exchange up. But I wonder, I mean, I didn't actually see b4. I was worried about queen a5 check. I was thinking, well, actually, maybe I've got king here because check, and I saw rook check here, so I thought that would be dangerous. So I wonder, actually, for the record, in this position, what is the strongest reply. C3, the engine comes up with C3, rather nonchalant about this. D takes E4, because there is that idea again of rook D1 or even castling, which is good here. So just C3. Okay, actually I think I might have actually observed C3 as well with the same idea. So yeah, I was hoping. Actually, I was sort of hoping for Queen A5. After initially, I was really worried about Queen A5. Does King F1 have the same effect? No. Apparently, check. Queen takes B2. Pieces are hanging here, so that might not be so convincing. So anyway, moving along swiftly. Sorry about that. Not making a note of that earlier in the detailed analysis. So there was the Queen A5 to be considered, but the bishop scurried back, and I have this lovely position to work with. And so this powerful centralizing move, Queen E5, targets two potential problems. So Queen F8 stopping invasion with Rook H6, but now Rook D3 strategically trying to get rid of dark square bishop and target again E6. And so apparently Queen G7 is technically the best move here, but Knight F6 is good also. And now after Bishop C8 check, there was the fun continuation. Not allowing a rook infiltration to the 7th. The king trying to make a run for it in vain. Okay, fun game. Hope you enjoyed it. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.